So now we're going to do our pivot intro. Pivot's going to be a helper function, much like the merge function was a helper function for merge sort. Pivot is going to be a helper function for quick sort. So I'm going to bring up an array here and do it like this. And what the pivot function is going to do is this. We're going to have our pivot item, and we're going to highlight that 4 there. It's going to sort all of these and do this swap like that. That's all it's going to do. So let's put this back like this and go through the steps that we need to go through to make that happen. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in this intro video than I normally do in an intro video, because it's going to be difficult to explain without bringing in the variables. So we have our pivot point here. And then we're going to loop through this from the next item over. That's going to be I in our loop. We're going to have a variable called pivot that points to this item, and another one called swap that's going to start out being set to pivot, but this one will move. So we start out by looking at that first item that I is pointing to there, the 6, it is greater than, and we'll move I to the next item. Anytime you have something that is less than the pivot variable, we will move the swap up to here, and then we will use that to swap these two items. And then I will move forward, that one's greater than, and this one's less than. So we move swap up first, and then we swap these two values. Same thing here, swap moves up, we swap these two values. Then we move I to the last item, it's greater than, and we are now done with that loop, so I will remove that arrow. And the last thing we need to do is swap these two items. And we're done with the pivot variable. And normally, when we're working with an array, at the end of the method or the function or whatever we're doing, we return the array. But that is not what we're going to do here. We need to return that swap variable. Now, this is everything the pivot function is going to do, but I'm going to show you why we need to have that swap variable. Because when we run quicksort on this side, we are going to be running this on the index of 0 through swap minus 1. When we run it on this side, we're going to run it on swap plus 1 to the end of the array. So that's why we have to know what that index is. And that is our overview of pivot.